Why is it that the very second we blow out the candles on our 60th birthday, our hard-earned muscle just seems to vanish into thin air? Seriously, you wake up one morning, look in the mirror, and wonder who the heck swapped out your biceps. If you're over 60, or even creeping up on it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've been there, man. Feeling that creeping fear that my best, strongest days were just entirely in the rearview mirror. But listen, what if I told you the real reason your muscles are shrinking isn't just quote-unquote getting older? And more importantly, what if there was a way to totally hijack this process? I'm going to reveal a science-backed holy grail solution at the very end of this explainer that literally hides in plain sight. But first, we gotta understand the invisible war happening inside our bodies. I remember hitting 60 and just watching my own strength slip away. I'd be in the gym, lifting the exact same weights, eating the exact same foods, but my body just wasn't responding the way it did in my 30s. It was beyond frustrating, and honestly, it was a little terrifying. It sent me down this deep rabbit hole to figure out exactly what was happening to my body. Was it my diet? Was my routine completely off? Or was there some unseen thief just robbing me of my gains? So let's dive into this. When we talk about age-related muscle loss, what the white coats call sarcopenia, we're really talking about a terrifying downward cascade. It starts as a three-step spiral. First, you get hit with this totally unexplained fatigue. Then comes a creeping, increasing weakness. And finally, the ultimate threat, frailty and losing your independence. And guys, nobody wants to lose the ability to pick up their grandkids or carry their own groceries. But hang tight, because by the end of this explainer, I'm going to share the exact science-backed fix I discovered to stop this dead in its tracks. To fight an enemy, you gotta know its strength, right? Well, the brutal reality of aging is that from our 50s onwards, we are losing about 10% of our muscle strength every single decade. Let that sink in for a second. 10%. And here's the kicker. It's actually worse for strength than it is for just muscle mass. So you're not just losing size, you're losing the actual horsepower behind that size. Now, the journey down isn't just some smooth, gradual slope. You have these sudden, sharp drops. Those are periods of disuse. Think about being laid up from a bad flu, maybe a minor surgery, or a few weeks of bed rest after taking a fall. These moments act like stepping stones, pushing us closer and closer to that terrifying disability threshold. We absolutely have to flatten this curve, folks. Section 1. The Aging Hormonal Paradox. So, what's actually happening under the hood? Naturally, we just blame our hormones, right? We assume our testosterone is just packing its bags and leaving town. Well, let's look at how much of this muscle loss is actually tied to that. The clinical data shows that starting around age 40, our T levels take a hit, dropping by about 1 to 2% every single year. It's a slow burn. But over a decade, that adds up to a 20% drop in the very hormone that defines our male vitality. And yet, it adds up fast. Over a third of guys over 45 have below normal testosterone levels. Now, why does this matter so much for our games? Well, testosterone is absolutely crucial because it helps build muscle by generating proteins. When it tanks, we don't just lose muscle. We get hit with fatigue, our metabolism slows down, making fat gain way easier, and even our bones get brittle, which spikes the risk of fractures. It's a huge piece of the puzzle. But here is where my mind was completely blown. Hormones are just the tip of the iceberg. Section 2, the hidden nerve disconnect. Let's see how losing the signal builds a totally different picture of aging. Get a load of this crazy statistic. In our later years, we experience a massive 30 to 50% loss of the nerves that actually control our muscles. Up to half of the signal is just gone. You could have the absolute best muscles in the world, but if your brain can't talk to them, they are practically useless. This perfectly illustrates the concept of motor neuron denervation. Think of it like someone sneaking into your basement and literally unplugging the electrical wires to your muscles. Without that spark and that drive from your nervous system telling the muscle to contract, the muscle fiber simply has no purpose, so it just dies off. But there is a massive glimmer of hope here, guys. The research shows that if you have large, healthy muscles from working out, the surviving nerves can actually act like little heroes. They can sprout brand new branches to quote-unquote rescue those unplugged, orphaned muscle fibers. This is the literal biological definition of use it or lose it. Your fit muscles can actually save themselves. But wait, the plot thickens, because even if our nerves are intact, I learned that as we age, our muscles start putting up a massive roadblock. Section 3. Your muscles are resisting the anabolic wall. Think about a 20-year-old body. It soaks up a post-workout protein shake or a big steak like a dry sponge. It is highly sensitive and easily builds new tissue. But a 60-year-old body? Man, it is incredibly stubborn. It flat out refuses to synthesize protein as efficiently. You could eat the exact same meal you did in your 20s, but your older muscles just shrug it off. Scientists call this anabolic resistance. It basically means your aging skeletal muscles have a blunted response to the good stuff. The exact same amount of protein or the same workout routine that built massive biceps in your 20s barely moves the needle today. It's kind of like trying to start a big truck with a dying battery. You need a much bigger jump just to get the engine turning over. Discovering this next concept was my ultimate aha moment. It's the deadly trap of sarcopenic obesity. As we age, our metabolism slows down, and fat starts to physically infiltrate the muscle tissue itself. Scientists call this myosteatosis. As that fat builds up, like marbling in a steak, our overall muscle quality drops below a critical threshold. And boom, the physical decline accelerates rapidly. We have to keep our muscle quality high to stay above that danger zone. So how in the world do we smash through this anabolic resistance? Well, our cellular machinery, specifically a pathway inside our muscles called mTR, acts as an ignition switch. To overcome the resistance of aging, that switch needs a massive jolt of a specific amino acid called leucine just to turn the engine on. We literally need more power to start the machine. Now, I know the science of this cellular signaling can look like a complex subway map, but the key takeaway here is mechanical loading. Lifting heavy things is the absolute best scientifically proven way to force this mTR pathway to wake up. Mechanical load literally drives the protein synthesis we so desperately need. Okay, guys, the mystery is solved. We know about the hormone drop, the unplugged nerves, and that frustrating anabolic resistance wall. Section 4, the Holy Grail solution, taking back our strength. I promised you a solution, and here is the vibrant, science-backed blueprint I used to reclaim my physical independence. The hidden fix to beating age-related muscle loss isn't some magic pill you buy at the pharmacy. It is a highly specific 1-2 punch, multi-joint resistance training combined with an aggressive new protein target. You absolutely have to do both to rescue those nerves and break through the resistance wall. First up, the training. You need to ditch those light single-joint isolation exercises like doing endless bicep curls on a machine. To maximally stimulate the nervous system and force those surviving nerves to branch out and rescue dying muscle fibers, you gotta focus on heavy multi-joint movements. I'm talking about the big dogs: squats, deadlifts, chest presses, and shoulder presses. And here is exactly why that matters so much. As clinical experts point out, activating these massive muscle groups safely triggers a big release of systemic growth factors. The crucial point here is that this acts as a natural, biological workaround for our declining testosterone. You are literally forcing your body to act young again. But listen, the lifting is only half the battle. To finally smash through that anabolic resistance wall we talked about, you must feed that repairing muscle. The new science says you need 0.8 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight every single day. So if you're a 200-pound guy, that means you need to be hitting roughly 72 to 110 grams of high-quality animal or plant protein daily just to trigger the growth your 20-year-old self used to get for free. Man, let me tell you, implementing this completely changed my life. We absolutely do not have to be victims to chronological aging. The power to rescue our nervous system, smash through anabolic resistance, and rebuild our bodies is entirely in our hands. You know the science now. You have the blueprint. So the only question left is, what step are you going to take today to take your strength back?